Hey, everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and with me, as always, is Scribe. Say hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe.
And the lovely SDA is joining us as well. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you guys tonight?
Well, I just don't appreciate you focusing on descriptors about me. I wish you cared more about my personality and,
I was talking about your personality. I've never actually paid attention to what you look like.
You have a personality?
Rude. Well, no, it's just the feminist last night said that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to describe women as lovely.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's the worst thing you could possibly do to a woman.
Oh.
They prefer it when you introduce them as ugly bitches.
Oh.
You know what? Maybe they're not onto something after all.
What if I describe them as like, here's SDA. She has giant hands.
Oh. She's a people with uterus.
Oh, sorry. Here is a person with a uterus. Notice her lovely foofies.
But what what if you said that about a woman and like she had a hysterectomy?
Oh.
And you're even more of an asshole.
You know what that would be?
Uterus and she's like, not anymore.
You know what that would be? That would be hysterical.
Cute.
I hope you're proud of that.
I so am not. Oh.
Okay.
Just a warning that my voice apparently is a little scratchy tonight. I don't know if I'm getting sick or something. So if I have to clear my throat a few extra times during news tonight, that's why.
It's all right. The ladies like it when your voice gets all scratchy.
Oh, man, I sound like a goddamn sex machine when my voice goes all sick and it's all low. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, the shizzle.
Anything we need to cover before we jump into the news?
Not that I can think of.
I have plenty to talk about throughout the stream, just nothing at the beginning here.
You guys are doing movies this weekend, right?
Nope.
No. We did discuss that in our stream last week. Both of us have things that are preventing it, so hopefully the week after we'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll actually be absent Saturday for the Saturday night stream because I've got family stuff. So I won't be back until Sunday sometime. So other than that, nothing else going on, I suppose. Oh, Monkey Dick Jim Jones movies. Hit that like button. And if you like what we do, or you absolutely loathe us, we appreciate it if you'd share our stuff.
Indeed we would. So, Scribbles, you got some news for us? I actually brought some news with me tonight, so.
Well, I don't want to step on your toes, so do you want to, if I end up bringing up the story you have, stop me so you can read it if that's what you'd like to do.
Sure, we can do it that way.
Okay. So I don't want to overtake you. But anyway, so the first story I have, I've got like 1, 2, 3. I guess 4 political stories and 1 story of sexual assault.
Hey,
not a whole lot.
Assault.
Yeah, nothing overblown that I know of happened today, but there was a lot of political maneuvering today. So first and foremost, White House facing scrutiny for Russia sanctions delay. Top Senate Republicans are pledging to find out if the White House is intentionally delaying new sanctions on Moscow as the Trump administration is several weeks past a congressionally imposed deadline to identify top Russian officials involved in political cyber meddling. Quote, "We're going to check into it," Republican Senator Bob Corker, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, told CNN Wednesday. Quote, "I will find out in the next 24 hours. I'm going to get on the phone with someone and find out." Yeah, exciting. Senator John McCain of Arizona, who chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee, said the administration is acting, quote, "as if they are unilateral," unquote. Yeah, it's almost like they're passing an executive order or something. Quote, "We have to do what we need to assert our role," he told CNN. Okay. Corker and McCain are among Trump's fiercest Republican critics in Congress. The White House is under fire as the deadline to begin the process of slapping fresh sanctions on Russia passed 3.5 weeks ago. Administration officials said Wednesday a review process was still underway to identify individuals connected to the Russian defense and intelligence services. The White House pinned the missed deadline on the State Department. I don't know anything about this move. Is that enforceable? Like Congress says, do this thing, and the White House doesn't, are they violating the law or something?
I don't know. I've never paid attention to that.
The delay comes as Trump prepares to see Russian President Vladimir Putin for the second time face-to-face during a summit meeting in Vietnam. Oh, might you wait to put on sanctions to a country you're supposed to have a diplomatic meeting with? I mean, I don't know diplomacy that well, but that might be sort of a awkward situation.
How do you slap the sanctions on them if you don't know exactly what was going on?
Yeah, if you're still trying to identify, I mean, okay, cyber meddling. First, you have to prove that happened, and then you have to identify who did it, and then you have to verify that it actually came from the Russian government. And so far, I've heard a lot of rumors, and maybe I'm just confessing my ignorance here. Has there been proof provided that the Russian government did anything illegal?
Not that I've seen, just the, various alphabet agencies telling us they were, but I've never seen anything said, yes, see, here we go. This shows it.
Well, I've heard several instances of them saying, in effect, the Russians intended to affect the election, or their desire was to affect the election. To this point, I've never had somebody put in front of me, here's proof that they actually did this thing and it had an effect on something and it violates the law. And I'm more than happy to see that. I'm more than happy to somebody put that in front of me and say, yes, the Russian government did a bunch of espionage stuff to try to fuck with our electoral process in some fashion. I don't know that that's been provided yet, as far as I know. So we're supposed to slap sanctions onto a sovereign nation without evidence of wrongdoing? Is that what the Congress is asking for?
Again, we don't get to see the top secret stuff. So from where we're sitting, yeah, that's exactly what they're asking. Maybe they have something, that we'll see in 85 years that tells us what the whole thing was about. But
let's see.
It seems a bit premature to me. That's all I'm saying.
Announcing a new round of sanctions against Russia for its cyber intrusions into last year's presidential election, which hasn't been shown yet, ahead of talks with Putin would prove provocative. Yes, it would. Putin has denied Russian involvement in election meddling, and Trump, who did express concerns about the cyber intrusion during his first meeting with Putin in July, has nevertheless called the intelligence community's findings that Moscow worked to sway the election in his favor a hoax. It was that attitude which prompted U.S. lawmakers over the summer to approve legislation. Oh, okay. This is me just like everything becomes a blur lately. To approve legislation that required Trump to impose new sanctions on those involved in Russia's cyber efforts. Trump signed the law grudgingly behind closed doors, facing with veto-proof. Behind closed doors, facing with? How about faced with? CNN, faced with veto-proof majorities in the House and Senate. CNN, hire an editor, please. Fire Chris Cillizza and find a real editor, please. You're embarrassing me at this point. But in a signing statement, he expressed constitutional objections to Congress's attempt to sway his foreign policy. And the White House expressed reservations at the law's potential to sour his efforts to improve relations with Russia. Yeah, requiring the White House to sanction another nation. I know this is old news because this happened months ago now, but it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, the administration has taken some steps to comply with the law, including updating an existing set of Treasury sanctions on Russia related to its incursion into Ukraine. On September 29th, the White House delegated authorities for identifying those involved in the cyber intrusions to Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and the Secretary of Treasury Steve Mnuchin. But the administration did not, as required by the law, quote, issue regulations or other guidance to specify the persons that are a part of or operate for or on behalf of the defense and intelligence sectors of the government of the Russian Federation. Well, how can you hold somebody legally to something that they have to go find out, and if they can't find it?
Because that's it.
So
because they wanted to.
So we have to find and identify spies by law and on a deadline.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to claim I understand all the ins and outs of this. I don't really care whose White House it would be if that law was in place. That sounds screwy. So anyway, that's going on. The other, let's see, the next little political thing that happened today. Oh,
real quick, if Trump was smart, he would slap like just a $1 sanction on Russia.
Yeah.
Be like, there you go. Fuck you.
Yeah. I complied with the law. Let's move on. So Pence breaks tie as Senate votes to repeal banking rule.
Ooh.
The Republican-led Senate narrowly voted Tuesday to repeal a banking rule that would let consumers band together to sue their bank or credit card company to resolve financial disputes. So effectively, they've outlawed class action suits. Vice President Pence cast the final vote to break a 50-50 tie. The banking industry had been lobbying hard to roll back the regulation from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The Bureau had moved to ban most types of mandatory arbitration clauses found in the fine print of agreements consumers often enter into when opening a checking account or getting a credit card. The vote reflects the effort of the Trump administration and congressional Republicans to undo regulations that the GOP argues harms the free market. The measure now moves to President Donald Trump's desk for his signature. Democratic lawmakers said the rule was needed and would give consumers more leverage to stop companies from financial wrongdoing. They cited the sales practices at Wells Fargo and the security breach at credit company Equifax as examples of misdeeds protected through forced arbitration. Quote, so who does forced arbitration help? Wall Street banks and other huge corporations that never pay the price for cheating working people, said Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio. Republicans said that the arbitration system has worked, quote, wonderfully for consumers. They said the payouts for the average consumer in arbitration cases are generally much larger and occur much more quickly than compared to the relief granted through class action lawsuits. Quote, the effort to try and characterize this as some devious system that has been created to try and stop consumers from having access to fairness is simply false, said Senator Mike Crapo, the Republican and chairman of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. We have a very fair system that has been working for over 100 years in this country. Crapo said the average payout for consumers in class action lawsuits against financial companies was just $32, but lawyers stood to make millions.
You know, that is actually true with the class action lawsuits. If you look into some of the judgments that go out there, they're fucking ridiculous. Lawyers get paid very well. The consumers who are supposedly, you know, winning something. It's not Aaron Brockovich, guys. You're not going to walk away with millions of dollars from this shit. There are actually cases where you end up with a coupon for the product that you're suing about.
Mm-hmm. Democrats argue that consumers generally don't have the time and means to pursue claims in arbitration, and since most disputes revolve around small amounts, they typically just give up. They said banks and other financial firms know that, in the end, they won't have to pay a real price for taking advantage of consumers. Class actions would serve as a powerful tool for consumers, they said. Quote, once again, we're helping the powerful against the powerless, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer as the Senate neared the vote. I don't think it says it in here, but what I heard on the radio this morning also said that this vote also makes it permanent. This can never be changed. Like it's forced into, like, in perpetuity, there will never be another class action lawsuit allowed against the banking industry.
That's not possible.
Well, that's what I heard on the radio. Now, if somebody knows otherwise, by all means, but they were very explicit on CBS News this morning to say that that was part of the deal, that this makes it permanent.
Yeah, that's not how U.S. law works.
I don't know. It sounded really weird to me when I heard it too.
Yeah, and what I would suggest there is that there's a bias in the way they reported that. I'm not going to say for certain there is, but there is no U.S. law that cannot be overturned. Even the Constitution itself can be changed.
Let's see. I want to see if I can find something that clarifies that, because it does sound really weird. Anyway, I'll look around, because when I heard it this morning, I thought that doesn't sound right. Is that true? Anyway, and in another instance of rolling back previous legislation, or I guess, guidelines. The FCC plans to roll back some of its biggest rules against media consolidation. The Federal Communications Commission will vote next month to eliminate a decades-old rule designed to preserve media diversity in local markets. The move is aimed at supporting economically struggling media outlets in an age of digital consumption, but critics say it will lead to greater media consolidation and the loss of independent voices. The regulations, passed in 1975, prevent any single company from owning both a full-power TV station in a given market and a daily newspaper at the same time. Quote, "The marketplace is nothing like it was in 1975, the FCC leader told lawmakers Wednesday, arguing that the restriction on newspaper/broadcast cross-ownership was outdated. Quote, "The FCC's rules still presume the market is defined by pulp and rabbit ears." The FCC vote, expected November 16th, could also eliminate a rule that prevents TV stations in the same market from merging if the outcome leads to fewer than 8 independent stations operating in that market. That rule, known as the 8 voices test, was also aimed at ensuring a variety of perspectives on the air. The chairman of the FCC said he is also proposing to eliminate FCC rules regarding the simultaneous ownership of radio and TV stations, regulations he said are unnecessary and duplicative.
I've never really understood those rules. They don't make sense to me.
Well, to prevent a monopoly over media in an area.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that? Because a lot of people are for free market, but also for rules that help us kind of prevent, things like monopolies from taking hold as well. Because it's kind of a fine balance, of regulation and freedom.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me because there are very few cities where you have multiple, say, newspapers. So you end up with, say, 3, going back to 1975, you have 3 television stations, maybe 1, 2 newspapers if you're lucky in towns outside of like Los Angeles or New York where you have a few more. Mm-hmm. So you're not getting a wide variety anyway, and they all cover the same fucking things.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I have no problem with them rolling that back because, one, they're right. We're in a new age where you can get whatever news you want at the push of a button. So the same rules don't necessarily apply unless you can't get internet.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, because of YouTube, even if you care about, because we kind of live in the news sector of YouTube, you have 100 different news outlets available to you.
Yeah, but I mean, if Comcast owned all the TV stations in your market, even if those TV stations were affiliates of different networks.
Yeah, that's where I'm a little bit torn because I see both sides of it. Because I kind of teeter on the edge of absolute free market. Because I don't think absolute free market is the way to go because then you have tyranny just from a different place, meaning, from a large corporation. So I also don't think that those rules are really that overbearing.
Yeah, but doesn't that also cut down on the whole idea of competition? I mean, if you have if all the newspapers and all the TV stations in a particular city are all owned by one company.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you there.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking to Monkey. I'm talking to Monkey mostly. Sorry.
I don't see it how it stifles competition. Now, if nobody else could start a newspaper or nobody else could get a broadcasting license, then sure.
Well, that's what kind of tends to happen is that you sort of have this limited number of people who can actually get those licenses. But like you also said, at this point, you don't need a license to start up your own thing because we have the internet. So
at the time this was passed, there were, in most towns, at least as far as I know across the country, there were already 3 television stations in every home. So saying that one of those couldn't also own a newspaper doesn't seem to encourage competition, actually. It just,
I think I'd actually have to look at the legislation more closely to really give a detailed answer.
Well, if their argument is going to be this is outdated, then what is the modern interpretation of this other than shouldn't there be more than 2 internet service providers in a given market?
Well, no,
God,
well,
don't get me started on the internet service fucking
No,
provider.
no,
I don't even want to think about Comcast right now. Okay, like I'm triggered.
not in the same way. Your example there would be if there was only one store that was selling 50 different newspapers. That would be one internet provider for everybody. As long as the news aspect of it, that this law was passed for to keep competition in the news place, as long as you have access to the internet, then all of that news is still available.
Well,
There might be a different argument for having more than one ISP, but as far as this law was concerned, just one ISP would be enough to have that competition because
no.
it's what website you go to, not who you're going through.
Yeah, unless or until they eliminate net neutrality, and then ISPs can set rates on different things.
True.
Then you've got a problem. So
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the more immediate and topical issue, if that makes sense. Like that's the thing that's going to affect people more than talking about the traditional media outlets. Because let's face it, traditional media outlets are pretty much run by the same few companies anyway at this point. They've all kind of merged in different ways over the years. So it's not like traditional media outlets are just brimming with diversity.
well, but isn't rolling back this rule, even though it might be outdated in its specifics, giving away the spirit of what it meant to be to eliminate monopolies? And if net neutrality, which the FCC has been trying to kill for years now, and has been doing it bit by bit, when we get to the point where it is a matter of ISPs being able to set rates on what gets through or how much and everything else, why would they go back and revisit this if they've already killed this original sort of grandfather version of the spirit of the thing? That's what I'm worried about, is this basically sets a precedent that they're not going to revisit it if things change in the modern world to effectively make ISPs like media outlets of limited scope.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that happened too, or was on the way to happening. Let's see. The other political thing is, if you remember who Scott Brown is.
Oh, yes.
Scott Brown, U.S. Ambassador Scott Brown, under investigation for comments in Samoa. Not even sure what he said.
What the fuck did he say that put him under investigation?
I don't know. U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand. Oh, man, talk about a cushy job this guy got. U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa. So basically, Middle Earth. Scott Brown says cultural differences prompted an investigation into comments he made that caused offense at an event in Samoa, and that politics might have played a part as well. Okay. Brown confirmed that he is the subject of a State Department inquiry after complaints were made after he told participants at a celebration in the Samoan capital of Apia that they were, quote, beautiful and could make, quote, hundreds of dollars in the services industry.
He told people they'd make great whores?
Quote, even though we all speak English, sometimes, when we say one thing, it means the complete different, whether it's here in New Zealand or it's in Samoa or other countries, Brown said at an event. So noted, and that's it, the former Massachusetts senator said. I don't get it. The issue came up in one of Brown's earliest interviews after his arrival in New Zealand, in which he gave an extended defense of what his interviewer called Trump's basic attitude of misogyny. Brown told the interviewer that Trump had apologized for his remarks about grabbing women and that female voters in the U.S. were more concerned with pocketbook issues. In the video posted to a New Zealand news site, the ambassador and his wife, Gail Huff, described the July visit to Samoa to present his diplomatic credentials and participate in a 50th anniversary celebration of the Peace Corps. Okay. Brown described a receiving line at the Peace Corps event and said, quote, I remember we saw these kids prior to, and they were all dirty and kind of grungy, but we walked in and everyone was dressed to the nines. They all looked great. Gail looked great. I was dressed up. And Gail and I both walked in and we both said, boy, you guys look really beautiful. You look really handsome, sir. You guys look great, Brown recounted. And apparently someone took offense to that. Fine, I did say it. Gail and I both said that. Absolutely.
Where'd the service industry part come up?
I'm waiting for. The second comment that sparked a complaint came later, Brown said, during a celebratory meeting for about 250 people that was preceded by ceremonial dances. Brown and his wife were seated next to the Samoan king, his wife, along with the deputy prime minister. Quote, little tables, I mean, it's close quarters, Brown said in the video. There were people serving food, and when someone came over and served food, I said, quote, you know what? You can make hundreds of dollars in the services industry, waitress, bartender, sales. You guys are doing a great job. And someone took offense to that as well.
Okay, so he wasn't even talking about prostitutes. He was talking about actual service industry, telling them that they could. That's what the fuck.
That's okay. Now I will not. I'm not going to say that Scott Brown is the genius of our time or anything. If you've followed him at all in his political career, but he's getting bent over a barrel for no good reason here.
Yeah, that's moronic.
I mean, unless his recitation of the events are completely incorrect, and somebody's got some other version of it, but if this is what the story is, it's bullshit. So anyway,
bunch of sheep fuckers got upset. Oh well.
And the last story I've got before MSS News is about a very old man touching a very young woman.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
George H.W. Bush responds after actress accuses him of sexual assault. Former President George H.W. Bush has responded after an actress alleged that he touched her inappropriately while he was sitting in his wheelchair during a photo op that took place a few years ago. In a now-deleted Instagram post published on her verified account Tuesday, actress Heather Lind wrote that she was, quote, disturbed today by a photo I saw of President Barack Obama shaking hands with George H.W. Bush in a gathering of ex-presidents organizing aid to states and territories damaged by recent hurricanes. I found it disturbing because I recognize the respect ex-presidents are given for having served, and I feel pride and reverence towards many of the men in that photo. Lynn did not mention the name of the event where the alleged touching took place, nor did she specify in her post the manner in which she was touched. She said in her caption that she was there with the Bushes to promote a TV show. Quote, but when I got the chance to meet George H.W. Bush 4 years ago to promote a historical television show I was working on, he sexually assaulted me while I was posing for a similar photo, the post went on to say. He didn't shake my hand. He touched me from behind from his wheelchair with his wife, Barbara Bush, by his side. He told me a dirty joke, and then all the while being photographed, touched me again.
Now, Phil DeFranco covered this story, and I'm having trouble picturing exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. The weird part is she says that there were a lot of pictures being taken, and none of those have surfaced yet. Best I can tell, he slapped or grabbed her ass, which not appropriate, and especially for a fucking ex-president. God damn, you're not Bill Clinton, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, never.
But this is almost being described as a Harvey Weinstein kind of incident, and apparently there have been other people who have said that they were there and saw this all happen, and nobody thought to question him on it at the time. And then she pulled this post down. I don't know how to feel about this one. I really don't. Because I can see a creepy old man being creepy. I can.
Well, here's what his spokesman said. At age 93, President Bush has been confined to a wheelchair for roughly 5 years, so his arm falls on the lower waist of people with whom he takes pictures, McGrath said. To try and put people at ease, the president routinely tells the same joke. I really want to know what this joke is. And on occasion, he has patted women's rears in what he intended to be a good-natured manner. Some have seen it as innocent, others clearly view it as inappropriate. To anyone he has offended, President Bush apologizes most sincerely.
Yeah, see, that doesn't sound as horrible as sexual assault.
Yeah, sexual assault. I mean, sexual assault.
But
I understand that there's no sort of clear line between what is and isn't, but sexual assault sounds. I mean, I don't know. That seems like an awfully overblown way of putting it.
Yeah. And from the description of his. I hadn't seen the full statement from his spokesman, But that makes more sense to me. He's an old man whose arm can't stay up, and he makes a joke to try to put other people at ease.
Yeah, they posted
That
a
is
photo.
understandable to me.
Yeah, they posted the photo of
they?
him. Yeah, no, the photo of him's been posted with her.
Do you have a link to that? Because I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me get to that. They're going to show. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so here I'll put this into the chat. You take a look. I can't really see the president's arm, but then you would assume it's technically trying to be around her waist. And at the level that he's at and his age, I can see why. I don't know. It sounds awfully shaky to me. I don't. Sexual assault seems kind of a. I mean, yeah, there's like 7 people standing around him. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds a little off.
Yeah, she looks like somebody who's getting her ass touched inappropriately. Anyhow, so yeah, I'm glad I've seen the picture, because that doesn't. I don't mean to disbelieve a victim, but that doesn't look like she's being assaulted. And again, yeah, we can't see her hand, but
anyway,
yeah,
I assume I didn't touch on whatever story you were.
You did not. You missed a bunch of stories that were big today.
Okay, well, I only saw what I saw. So what do you got?
Well, first, I do want to touch. I don't have a story about it. It's another thing that Phil DeFranco covered, and it's the Michigan 5. Did you hear about these fucking assholes?
You mean the kids in the Rock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is.
Oh yeah, that was days ago now. But okay.
This is.
Well, they finally caught them all.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was the first I did too.
Okay.
But they're all in custody now. They are all denied bail. For those of you who don't know, they were going around overpasses and throwing shit off, and they actually killed a man doing it. They were throwing one of the rocks that they threw was apparently like 20 fucking pounds. You drop that on somebody that's just standing there, it's going to fuck them up. You do that to somebody who's driving, you're going to kill multiple people. They're lucky they only killed one person. But they are facing life in prison, and the youngest of them is 15 years old. And there's a lot of people out there who have a problem with punishing somebody for life when they do something at 15. I am not one of them. Fuck these kids. I have no sympathy for them. But we talked about a story yesterday, and there's been an update to it. We talked about the DNC, maybe it was 2 days ago, I don't remember. Supposedly hiring Fusion, what was it? Fusion GPS. Yeah. And I mentioned yesterday when we talked about it that it's opposition research. It's not something I really care about. However, it may be a criminal act after all. Because, and this is why the stream is named the way it is, they didn't report the expenditure to the Federal Election Commission. All campaign finances have to be filed with them, and
true.
Yes, and we know that it wasn't filed that way, or we would have found out who financed this a long time ago. Not that I think anything's really going to come of it, but yeah, the DNC is definitely at least going to get a hand slap for that, because there was no report of it. Let's see, what's the next one that I had?
You have a super chat.
This story comes to us. Oh, I am so sorry, guys. When I'm reading, it's hard to see those, so give us a moment when that happens. Thank you so much, Sweeper Steven. Just stopping in to show some love. Love you back, dude. Thank you so much. This is a story that comes from the College Fix. Kent State mulls whether telling somebody you need Jesus is hate speech.
Yay!
Seriously?
A Christian student leaders. Yeah, seriously. A Christian student leader is demanding an apology after a poster distributed by Kent State University asking if stating "you need Jesus" could qualify as hate speech. I'm not going to read this whole article. I read it earlier.
That's just
what happened.
Tell.
Yeah, they had a event to talk about free speech versus hate speech, and what they did is they put out this flyer. And on the flyer, there are silhouettes of people holding up different signs. And one of them says, no more gays. Another one says build a wall. And then one in the background says you need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus.
Yeah.
One, that is one of my favorite retorts when shit's just going funny. But in this case, the Christian students there are very upset at the notion that telling somebody they need Jesus might be hate speech. Now, I don't think it's hate speech.
Yeah.
It's not hate speech.
No.
Well, I suppose it could be in the right circumstance.
Well,
if they're
now that you say that, it's like I guess maybe
if they're stoning you and telling you you need Jesus, that's probably hate speech.
Fuck. You need Jesus, you fucking whore.
Yes, exactly. But to blow this up the way they are, getting so upset over it, it as much as any of the other statements there, it's a legitimate question to ask. The answer is no, it's not hate speech. None of that shit's hate speech. Some of it's rude and certainly not politically correct, but
what's hate speech?
Yeah. Oh, God.
That is hateful.
Oh.
Is that helpful? No?
I hate Brussels sprouts. Arrest me.
Fucking dare you.
Arrest me.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, I just thought that story was funny because are you fucking kidding me? You need Jesus is hate speech.
I find that highly amusing.
There is, in the story itself, they go across, they talk to several people who are involved in the religious community there at the college. And to their credit that I saw, only one of them was being a dick about this. The other ones were like, is it hate speech? No. Is this something to get upset about? No. But yeah, I just love that you need Jesus is hate speech. That's funny.
All of y'all need
That's all
Jesus.
I had. That's
you all need
Jesus.
You all need Muhammad.
I like
Y'all
telling
need
people
Allah.
they need Jesus.
You all need Cthulhu. That's what you all need. You need to be devoured.
For
It
sure.
would be great
Yes. What?
if a Mexican had a yard business with the slogan "Y'all need Jesus."
Y'all need Jesus.
Y'all need Jesus. Anyway, that's all I had. So
That would be funny as shit. One of you, I know there's like at least half a Mexican in the chat. One of you needs to become a landscaper with the slogan, y'all need Jesus.
No.
I would hire them even if I didn't need them.
I know, right? So would I.
You need to have a Latino taxi service that says Jesus is my pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish I was Mexican. I'd have a lot more fun with that. I would rename myself Jesus.
Hey, you know what? Go apply for Mexican citizenship, and you too can be a Mexican.
Fair point. Fair point.
Wouldn't that be interesting if we were like blonde, blue-eyed, but like I'm a citizen of Mexico, so I'm more Mexican than like a Mexican that was born here.
Do you think liberals would lose their mind over a landscaping business with that?
Oh, for sure, which is like why somebody should totally do it. Y'all need
I just think it would be great. You would get so much promotion out of it. Anyhow, yeah. So MSS News?
Sure. Chad, if you've got news stories you'd like us to take a look at during the stream, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News, and we'll take a look. Can't promise we'll get to them all, but we'll look them over. And I'm going to scroll down a bit to start off with some of the things that maybe we missed yesterday or in the ensuing hours since then. Okay, what do we got here? Let's see. You saw that. Oh, this sounds lovely. This comes from Jody Vowell. This is a Huffington Post article. Oh boy, get prepare for your Valentine's Day early, guys.
Uh-oh.
Designer dildo contains loved one's cremated ashes.
What the
Ew.
ever-loving fuck is wrong with people? No. Y'all need Jesus.
It's a sex toy that someone, maybe you, will be dying to use.
No.
Dutch designer Mark Sturkenboom has created a sex toy that includes a mini urn to hold the cremated remains of that special someone. The erotically shaped urn is part of, quote, 21 grams, a memory box devised by Sturkenboom to help grieving people feel the presence of their loved ones.
No, y'all need Jesus. That's all you need. Holy shit. No.
The title refers to the purported weight of the human soul based on a now discredited study by Dr. Douglas McDougall, an early 20th century physician who weighed patients before and after death to see if there was a change in weight, according to Snopes.com. Besides the death-oriented dildo, Sturkenboom's memory boxes come with a perfume diffuser that can hold the departed's signature scent and an iPod amplifier so the bereaved can play songs that remind them of the deceased.
Uh-huh.
Do you think people in, like, Arkansas would do this with, like, their dad?
Oh, gross. You nasty. You need Jesus.
I'm nasty. They've made this site where you put dead people inside of you.
Just everybody fucking needs Jesus today. I don't know why.
I miss my daddy. Where's my custom ashes dildo?
Gross.
And suddenly my phone is ringing. Sorry, guys. I gotta go for a second.
Oh my goodness. Why? Why?
Hey,
I understand.
Says that is so monumentally fucked up. I fucking agree. I agree, bro.
It is. It's fucking nasty. Thank you, Chaos Eve. The woman who won't talk about religion is telling you that you need Jesus. This should tell you guys something.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys get into religious stuff. I'm like, I don't really want to talk about this, and I'm just like, Jesus. Everybody needs Jesus.
Good point. Good point. Lucky Seven, is this necrophilia? I would count it as such. You're putting dead people inside of you.
Ew. Ew. Yeah. Yeah. Don't. Okay. What is with people and putting stupid shit up their twats? All right. Don't put dad up your twat, and don't put Vapo Rub on it either. What's wrong with you people? Leave your twats alone.
What about this? Is also highly sexist. What about the dudes out there? We need a fleshlight with, you know, your lady's vag scent on it.
Gross.
And her ashes. Oh, yeah, okay, let me.
Pat, you're here. You weren't here last night, and I was like, "Where's Pat?" And it was like, "Not here." And I'm glad you're alive.
That is the best story you've ever told. What the hell was that?
I feel like that was a facetious thing you just said, and I'm offended.
That's okay. You'll be fine. Oh, wow. This comes to us from Blind Press. Waiting for it to open. Brother of Las Vegas shooter arrested on child porn exploitation charges.
Brother of the Las Vegas shooter, is that what you said?
Yeah. A brother of Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock was arrested in Los Angeles on suspicion of possessing child porn, authorities said Wednesday. Bruce Paddock, 59, was arrested on a 20-count felony complaint. Okay. One fucked up family.
I'll say.
Jesus Christ. This one comes to us from Jack Cochran. Yeah, we're not hanging on child ped. Sorry, guys. This one comes to us from the Jack Cochran. Video shows Florida deputy accused of stealing from dying man. A sheriff's deputy is accused of stealing. Yeah. A sheriff's deputy is accused of stealing from the empty house of a dying man while Hurricane Irma put southern Florida in a state of emergency. The incident was caught on security video. Damn, I feel like scribe now. Jay Rossoff called the Palm. Oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. The reading is so bad here, guys.
Sorry, guys. I got waylaid by work stuff. Hopefully, it won't interrupt me again. So, what are you guys working on? Or do I need to read something else?
We were talking about kitty diddlers, and now we're talking about people who steal from dying people in the middle of a fucking hurricane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a Florida man story that we're working on from Jack Cochran.
Just more people who fucking need Jesus.
Jay Rossoff called the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office on September 12th and requested a welfare check for his 85-year-old father. Rossoff, who lived in North Carolina, told deputies the indoor surveillance camera in his father's Boynton Beach home did not detect any movement, according to a document obtained by CNN. His father, Mo Rossoff, had remained alone during the hurricane. Three deputies responded and found Rossoff, whose family members say had fallen and hit his head during a power outage, on the floor in the master bedroom. He was transported to a nearby hospital, and then the deputies left the home. Rosov died the same day. According to a probable cause affidavit, Deputy Jesus fucking Christ. Deputy Jason Cook, who was not involved in the initial call, later came to the home and was shown on video going through the house. Confessed to taking drugs from the home. He was arrested on October 19th on several charges, including burglary and larceny. What a stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
I'll do one or two more and then move on to YouTube stiffs.
Yeah. Do you have one ready?
I do. So this one comes from Martin, simply Martin. British police arrest 3,395 citizens for being politically incorrect online. Now, this story is from several days ago on the 14th, but I'm not sure I'd heard this before. In the last year, British police have arrested at least 3,395 citizens, 9 people per day, for being quote-unquote politically incorrect on social media. According to data obtained by The Times through the Freedom of Information Act, 29 police forces arrested thousands of citizens under Section 127 of the Communications Act of 2003, which makes it illegal to, quote, cause annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety to another. That's not amorphous as fuck. The true figure is likely to be significantly higher, as 13 police forces refused to provide the requested information and 2 did not provide usable data. Around half of the investigations were abandoned before being brought to prosecution, which critics say is an indication that the authorities are being excessively strict in their interpretation of the law's restrictions on freedom of speech. Yeah, but it's hard to be it's hard to interpret that restrictively when it's so broad.
Mm-hmm. This is what Irene Bear talks about all the time, that the laws over there, you have to be careful what you say, because anybody can interpret it as anything. And God forbid you say Muslim in any kind of bad way.
Yeah. And one more, how's about from our friend, senior reporter Jack Cochran.
Real quick, thank you, Snowstorm. Fuck those countries. Okay, now you can go.
It's going to play a video, isn't it? No? Okay. Kellogg's to replace racially insensitive corn pops boxes following Twitter call out. Okay. Kellogg's will be redesigning corn pop cereal boxes after a complaint about racially insensitive art on the packaging. The Battle Creek, Michigan-based cereal and snack maker said on Twitter Wednesday it will replace the cover drawing of cartoon characters shaped like the corn kernels populating a shopping mall. The corn pop characters are shown shopping, playing in an arcade, or frolicked in a fountain. One skateboards down an escalator. What struck Saladin Ahmed was a single brown corn pop was working as a janitor operating a floor waxer. Ahmed, current writer of Marvel Comics Black Bolt series and author of the 2012 fantasy novel Throne of the Crescent Moon, God, Silver Moon Ravenwolf, took to Twitter Tuesday to ask, why is literally the only brown corn pop in the whole cereal box the janitor? This is teaching kids racism.
I think they're looking at it wrong. From the sound of it, the art corn pop was the only one with the job. That's the responsible one.
Let's see. He added a subsequent post, quote, yes, it's a tiny thing. You're absolutely right. But when you see your kids staring at this over breakfast and realize millions of other kids are doing this. Won't somebody please think of the children? God damn it. Fuck you. Clutch your pearls somewhere else, please. Good Lord. Anyway.
I do have to say, though, in this day and age, that shows an incredible lack of
foresight,
awareness. Because if I got a corn pop that was brown, I'd worry about it for the that just doesn't seem like it should be. And yeah, to make the brown one the janitor's kind of fucked up. It's funny if they did it as a joke, but God.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was a printing error?
It would be.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Or shall we move on to YouTube's?
No, let's go ahead and move on to YouTube. SDA, what'd you do today?
As far as YouTube stuff, nothing. I had class today.
How'd your stream go last night?
It went well. We had fun. I can't jump in video games for shit, but I already knew that, so it's okay. I don't know why. It's like I'm good at video games until you ask me to jump, and then like my brain just kind of stops working. So that was a mess. But we had fun. So yeah. It'll probably become a regular thing pretty soon. We're trying to work that out, but I will update you guys and let you know if and when that happens. So yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to get a video out this week, I promise.
Scribbles, I know you have a lot of ads, but did you do any videos?
I did. I posted one as per tradition right before the stream started. It is a medical professional, an actual medical doctor, and not somebody with just a doctorate in basket weaving or something. But he starts out the video, and he's from Stanford. He's from Stanford, which is a old nemesis of mine in the intellectual arts. And you have a super chat.
Thank you, Snowstorm. You aren't black enough to jump. White girls can't jump.
You know what? That's a really good excuse. That's perfect. Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that, Snowstorm. I feel so much better about my incompetence as a jumper. Thanks. I needed that.
And so the doctor is educating us on the reality of sex, gender, and orientation. And then proceeds to go completely into La La Land on at least one of those subjects, and I can only assume the remaining two, because after he talked about sex being assigned at birth, I stopped and said no. No, if you're a medical doctor and you're telling me how sex is assigned at birth, there's nothing more you can tell me that I'm going to believe. So moving on.
Yeah, I hate that term, assigned. It's not assigned. It's fucking noticed.
Yeah, it's identified. It's like, does it have a dick or no? Great.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time talking about how one of the opening gambits he says is that so we're going to be talking about sex, gender, and sexual orientation. And even though these three things are related, they are different concepts and different things. I'm like, okay, stipulated. And none of them are binary. And I'm like, okay, sexual orientation, I will buy that because I know that there's heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and even though it's a sexuality like abstinence is a sex position, asexual, if you want to count that one, which I'll be generous and say, but there's more than male and female. And so his first section is all about biological sex, and I keep waiting for him to name the third biological sex. And of course,
I'm sure he does it promptly.
Oh, he goes through the fact that, there can be genetic anomalies and physical development anomalies and conditions and well, he doesn't actually use the word anomalies or stuff. But he does use the word at some point. He uses mutation. Mm-hmm. He uses or things that fall outside the standard expectations. And I said, and when he's talking about sex, and so I said, well, doctor, some people are born without arms, and this falls outside the expected expectations. What would you classify that as? Like, is that something like a new species or something because they weren't born without arms?
Well, no, it's a new variety of human that only comes with one arm.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, it's just, I'm listening to this guy, and he starts out so promising. I mean, when I first started watching the video, I thought I was just going to pass it over because it was just a doctor talking about medical things. And he opens up by saying, I'm not going to be, if you came to this video expecting a discussion about the politics or the activism around these subjects, then you came to the wrong place. I'm like, oh, okay. And then what does he do? He proceeds to talk about the politics and the activism about it. It's just,
of course he does.
Anyway, so yeah, I didn't do the whole video. The whole video was like 20 minutes long. I did the first 9, but honestly, as soon as he got to the point of saying the gender was assigned, I knew it's like, okay, no, I'm done. There's nothing more you can say that I'm going to find interesting at this point. So anyway, that posted. And then, yeah, I have 12 ads to go through when you're...
Okay. Thank you, Chaos Eve. Pound that thumbs up button like a hashtag me too.
Wow.
There's so many ways to take that. Jesus.
That was a lot.
That was great. Before we get to the ads, I did make a video on Red Pill Black, which we'll discuss a little bit further here in a few minutes when we get to some of the...
It was a good video. I liked it a lot.
Drama.
Yeah, drama.
A lot of people who made their videos focused on her website, which her website is absolute shit. And I focused more on the fact that you can tell she's a lying bitch. And part of the drama we'll get to in a few minutes. I'll go over some stuff I didn't cover in the video. So how about we get into some ads? And
okay.
For the record, I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to eat a Butterfinger.
Okay, and have fun digging that out of your teeth for the next 20 minutes. All right, so despite my worries, I did have a very busy work day, but somehow I was able to get through all the ads as well. So let's begin. First, we had W.R. Costin asking for an ad talking about a movie based on a biography of the first emperor of Earth, that being W.R. Costin, with the biography being written by me, the screenplay being written by SDA, and the movie directed by Grandbaby, or Grand Monkey as we call her. And you've got a super chat.
Thank you, Snowstorm. Who wants to get laid? Hashtag me too.
Let me interpret for the eating monkey. Who wants to get laid? Hashtag me too, with the last O as a 0. But okay. Anyway, so here we go with that movie trailer. From the new Costin Times best-selling biography by Scribelight, W.R. Cosum, our beloved emperor, comes the sweeping tale of our fearless leader and his epic rise to benevolence. From his humble days working in the VapoRub factory to his ascension as Emperor of all Earth, screenwriter Some Dumb American and director Grand Monkey take you on a journey of modern legend. Go and see W.R. Costin Triumphant, because it's required by decree on punishment of death by tongue butter. There's the first one. Then Point Curation requested an ad for Ferg, our guest last night, and a longtime YouTube friend of mine. So here's that. If you're looking for a unique perspective on anti-SJW, social, and political commentary, then you need only visit The World of Ferg. Ferg is your red-eyed, hoodied guide through the news and issues of the day from a conservative viewpoint that isn't averse to considering both sides before coming to a conclusion. So the next time that you're needing some good YouTube observations, take a trip to The World of Ferg. This message is brought to you by Point Curation.
Well done.
Then surfing, this is going to be a tough one. Surfing Moose in Bullwinkle's voice, and Ferg suggested a giant black dildo. Okay, now I will warn, my Bullwinkle voice does not stray far from my Barney voice. So I'm going to do my best, but I can't promise anything. Gee, everybody, Bullwinkle here to tell you about black dildos. They're, black, and they're much better for putting near your hoo-ha than VapoRub. Boris and Natasha endorse them. I mean, Boris is a small thing covered in black. That's always in Natasha anyway. Black dildos. Somebody named Surfing Moose paid for this.
The only thing that would have made that better is if we had covered the dead people in dildos yesterday, and you could put that in.
Dead ashes and dildos. All right. Okay, then Sanguine, being the benevolent idea man that he is, requested a dark fantasy movie about the fall of the Tuatha De Danann. And I had no idea what that was. So I had to look it up. And this is what I came up with. Parallel to our own reality is that of the other world, home to Tuatha De Danann, the tribe of the gods. For time immemorial, the tribe has maintained the balance of nature and creation against the destructive Fomorans. But a violent battle between these two forces has thinned the barrier between our world and theirs. The two realities are meshing together, and only a chosen few from both worlds realize what is happening. Can the enlightened of the tribe and the witnesses of humanity work together to save their worlds before it's too late? Sanguine Studios brings you the urban fantasy adventure of a lifetime in The Sword of Light. And that's all Celtic ancient folklore of myths and gods and things put together. So
the research you do for these is truly amazing.
If you say so. I think it's relatively
I would have to just
cursory.
make this shit up.
Yeah, that's, well, there's a little bit of both in there. Let's see. Point Curation asked for an ad for the Postal Service. The actual Postal Service, not the band. I made sure to ask about that. The internet is a wonderful invention. Messages can be sent instantaneously, and products can be ordered with the click of a mouse. But for all this innovation, the movement of goods and important documents still reside off the information let me try that again. But for all this innovation, the movement of goods and important documents still resides off the information superhighway. That's why the men and women of the Postal Service are so vital to commerce and society. Whether through rain, snow, or dark of night, the Postal Service is committed to making the real world seem just as small as the cyber world. So next time you see a little postal truck making its way down the road, remember that they're bringing the world together one envelope at a time. The Postal Service, messengers of civilization.
Wow, that was like a real ad for him.
I do my best.
I thought you were going to go like how irrelevant they are now.
No, it's, well, you know, how do I get my Amazon deliveries?
True. Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that too.
Let's see. Sweeper Steven requested an ad for a website, a doxing website that brings about the end of the world. So here's my attempt. Social networking has infiltrated nearly every aspect of our lives. And now entire industries are being created around finding out that which should never be known. Now, one website bent on doxing anyone deemed problematic has uncovered the president's nuclear codes and posted them for the world to see. What happens next is disaster. Witness the answer to the question, can too much knowledge be a bad thing? With Sweeper Stevens' Global Autopsy.
Nicely done. Thank you, Snowstorm. South Park did it.
Probably. Next, Cryptic asked for an ad for the Vag. So,
I haven't even heard this, but I approve this message.
the vagina, where we all come from and many of us want to come into. It is the center of so many of our personal universes. That's why it's important to treat your vagina with respect and dignity. So ladies, don't put VapoRub on your lady bits. Yes, the menthol-like aroma might feel like a quick fix, but 9 out of 10 doctors advise that soap and water should be your first solution to unwanted aromas. This has been a public cervix announcement from Cryptic.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, just wash your vag.
Did you get that last part?
I did. Your cervix. Caught it.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Let's see. The Miss Slim one, she donated, but she didn't say she wanted an ad. She just was saying that, you know, I can't wash my car since there's a new fire, which I assume mean there was like a forest fire nearby or something. And therefore her car was going to get dirty anyway, so why bother washing her car? She didn't ask for an ad, but I decided to do a quick little one for her anyway. This is a public service announcement to all unwanted fires. Stop making Miss Slim's car dirty. It's mean. This message has been paid for by the organization to wash Miss Slim's car.
Well done.
Okay. Sanguine then asked for a dystopia anti-sci-fi where hard sciences are decolonized. I had to do some vocabulary research on that one to make sure I knew what the fuck was being said there. So, and this honestly, I'll hype this one before I read it. I honestly think this might actually make a really cool movie.
Oh, cool.
Enter a world where science and empirical data have been rejected as too dangerous, and humanity has fled into a new dark age. In a land of new myths and old paranoias, What will rise out of the ruins of the old world? Sanguine Studios brings you a startling vision of fear, faith, and the awakening of long-dead gods no longer starved for the sustenance of belief in Lost Vegas, Kingdom of the Southern Sands.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, you ever see that old cartoon show? I think it was the Thundar the
Oh,
Barbarian. Yeah, so there was a couple of episodes where they never really mention it so far as I know, but there's this one episode where they're wandering through some strange land, and then they end up in this temple, and it's filled with slot machines. They don't call them slot machines. They don't know them. So it's like, oh, this is like some post-apocalyptic Earth where Thundar is existing, and they got like magic and stuff. I always thought it'd be kind of cool if there was like a story like that, like some kind of post-apocalyptic fantasy world. Okay.
For the record, Miss Slim one said best ad ever about her. So well done.
I'm glad. Okay, now this was the toughest one because I've never played Mass Effect. I know very little about it. I know it's a sin. I've never played it, but
real quick. Nope. Ask. Did I miss the Mass Effect ad? No.
No, you're right on time. So, and then added to that, directed in the style of a director whose movies I've never seen. So yeah, this was a tough one, and so this took some research. Hopefully it meets expectations or not. From the violent vision of director Takeshi Miike comes a stark vision of our future. In 2148, mankind discovers that it is not alone in the universe, and by 2183, they're taking the first steps towards joining the galactic community. On the SSV Normandy, Commander Shepard must navigate the politics and the stars of the far reaches of space, while mercilessly slaughtering any and all creatures that stand in the way of peace and freedom, slicing off their faces and having them slide down the wall. Starring Scribelight as Commander Shepard, Some Dumb American as Commander Shepard, and Ranting Monkey as Commander Shepard. The Mass Effect Trilogy, an audition of itchy gravity. And that was all I put together of stuff from the director's movies, because he did a movie called The Audition and Itchy the Killer, and
I'll take
there's my attempt.
I've never
guys.
heard of him before.
I
do want to tell you, if you've never played Mass Effect, you can skip 1 because it's so dated and annoying. Just read about it. Play 2 and 3. 2 is one of the best games ever. Just saying.
Okay. Two left. So New Fate. Oh, sorry. Sorry, what?
Monkey? Oh, I was breathing apparently too close to the microphone.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. New Fate, sort of as a semi-apology for giving me that complicated one, asked for a different one. So he also asked for The Punisher Kills the MCU. So here we go. When the Punisher intercepts what he thinks is a drug shipment bound for Latveria, he discovers the true cargo is the reality Infinity Gem. Now, unbound by contractual barriers between Netflix and Marvel Studios, Frank Castle is about to wage a one-man war on continuity errors to put right what was once written wrong, even if it means killing everyone. New Fate 26 Studios brings you the solution to all mistakes in The Punisher. Retcon Retaliation.
Well done.
He said the MCU, not the Marvel Universe. So I was like, okay.
Yep.
And lastly, Adocrat requested an evil ranting monkey trying to rule the world with midget warriors. In the Negaverse, a dark reflection of our reality, the ranting monkey is not merely a YouTuber, but is instead the minister of propaganda for the dictatorial W.R. Costin. Enraged at being perpetually passed over for promotion by the world's fearless leader, Monkey hatches an evil scheme of conquest, confident that his army of cloned left and right cheeks can sneak into the Emperor's palace disguised as potted plants. Will Ranting Monkey defeat the Emperor and make the world a safe place for him to become Emperor? Find out as Adocrat Films brings you Double Barrel O' Monkey's Revenge.
I'd watch it.
You'd watch clones of left cheek and right cheek.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's all the ads. Thank you so much again for all your donations. I hope I sang for my supper there. And I'm done.
YouTube drama time, and I'm going to take over here for just a minute to talk more about Red Pill Black. Man, the more I learn about this girl, the more I don't like her. Going back to when all of this first happened, way back in April of last year, when she got her Kickstarter pulled down, Zoe Quinn and Randy, whatever the fuck her name is, were in fact part of it. During her interview that I show with Dave Rubin, there's part of the interview where she says that these people wouldn't have had to get upset if they just knew what it was she was actually building. Because the way she presents the story, Zoe Quinn was worried that Candace Owens had made some technology which automatically allowed the unmasking of trolls. And in Candace's telling of this, it's, and I'm not making this up, you guys can go watch the Dave Rubin's video. I should have put this part in the video, and I thought I had, but she actually links it to Hillary's campaign. She's making the argument that the reason Zoe Quinn called her and argued against social autopsy was because Hillary Clinton supporters would be shown to not be real, that they were all, most of them were fake. But she also went on an episode of the Ralph Report back in April of last year, and in it she talks about that conversation with Zoe, and she says Zoe came away from that conversation knowing exactly what this site was. No ambiguity, no reason to suggest that Zoe thought that there was going to be some massive new technology. She says, in no uncertain terms, she knew exactly what this site was.
Can we just appreciate for a second how incredibly ridiculous it would be to actually believe that there's a piece of technology that can just automatically unmask people from Twitter? That's fucking retarded.
Yeah, because with her knowing that exactly, there's this part in the interview with Dave Rubin's where Candace says that Zoe cried out, "You're going to ruin everything." Which makes absolutely no sense with what she said to Ralph back in April of last year when all of this was still new. It literally makes no sense. If she knew what the website was, there's no possible way she thought it was going to dox people just because it picked up this new technology. Excuse me. So she is verifiably a fucking liar. Now, a lot of people have attributed this to different things. Like Tree of Logic thinks that she's doing it to get money from conservatives to keep paying for her shitty website, which, by the way, has been taken down finally. She took it down at about 7 o'clock this morning as I was making my video, which is great. It needs to be taken down. But some of her fanboys, you guys know I've run into a few zealous fandoms out there. I did not expect some of the utter refusal to acknowledge reality from her fans. I don't get it. At the time the Kickstarter got taken down, there were stories, again, at that time, where she had talked to reporters about how she wasn't giving up. And one of the things she mentioned in there is that so far she had already collected 20,000 profiles. I have had several people on Twitter today mad at me, just refusing to listen to any kind of reason because there's no proof her website ever worked. She's telling us it did. That comes from her. That's not me saying, and that doesn't even get into Suit Yourself, who did a video on it, who showed that not only was this taking information in, but while the search feature wasn't active at the time he made his video, you could use Google and search people on the fucking site. So you could still look these people up regardless. And it's just like, I don't understand. Okay, maybe I do understand a little bit. I understand the unwillingness to admit you got duped. But this isn't about whether or not she believes what she says she does now. I don't think she does. I think she's pandering. But she is a provable liar on this subject. And she did make this fucking site that not only did she set up to dox people, She, in a question and answer, said she was okay with children getting doxxed on this fucking thing. That is fucking horrible.
Yeah,
How that ever made. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's not looking good for her on that end.
Yeah, it doesn't, and she's she's an opportunist, which is what she is, and I think she's playing it very well. I mean, Alex Jones offered her a show on InfoWars yesterday. He did it live on the air. Said he'd love to have her and a few other girls start a show on his channel.
I'm sure he'd love to have some girls on his.
Yeah. Now, some people. I want to talk about the attractive female thing because that is part of it. And I'm not going to lie. Having a pretty woman tell you things you want to hear, yeah, that guys like that. But that's not the only problem here. I mean, the problem here is not her or her being pretty. It's the fact that people like Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson and Dave Rubin did literally no fucking research about this woman at all before they started shilling her to the public. None of this shit, none of it is secret. And she's being allowed to go around and lie. She told Dave Rubin the site was just a splash page. A splash page is not somewhere where you can go and enter information that is saved. That's not what a splash page is. A splash page is literally a page saying, hey, this is where we're going to build a website. They'd already started building this website. They'd already started their database. And it was all functional except for the search feature. Nobody can tell whether or not that was actually, nobody has proof whether or not that actually worked. But you could still search it using Google. So she is still running around telling the same fucking lie. And as long as she's doing that, I'm not going to believe for a second that she's actually had a change of heart. She's just covering her ass and trying to protect the massive amount of money she's making off her sudden change.
Well, another thing that I said today on Twitter, and I think I said to you guys before we started the stream, is that she's going around saying things along the lines of, people are being funded to oppose me, and this is all just bullshit, and it's just lies. And I'm like, it's literally not, though, because where we're getting our information from, sweetie, is you.
Yeah.
You are our source. Your own website, your own words, your own contradictions, as Monkey points out in his video. That's where we're getting our information from. It's not some crazy conspiracy.
Oh,
Had you
sorry.
not behaved this way.
Thank you, Cryptic, and I am sorry about that. Cryptic says your Streamlabs doesn't work. No, I still have to finish getting it set up. I forgot I'd put it in the description. Sorry about that. It will be working next time I'm on. The other thing, some people have tried defending her in a roundabout way, in that they think she was trying to do the right thing by being anti-bullying, which I don't consider what she was doing anti-bullying. I consider it anti-free speech, because the whole point was to punish people for what they said.
Yeah,
that's not. But I want to bring this back to something close to the show here. You guys know Yosef?
Yeah.
What was his old channel name, Scribe?
Clashing Ideals.
Clashing Ideals, yes. He came in and was a guest on our show one time. He did a video about this today where he tells us he lost his job over being doxxed.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his job just the other day over it. This shit does have real world consequences for a lot of people. When you're saying that people should be shamed and untouchable because of something they said online, what you're literally saying is, I hope you die starving in the street, because people always think I'm being melodramatic here. Costing somebody their job could literally leave them homeless.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you can't pay your fucking bills. And if you think anything somebody said to you online is worth that, you're just wrong. You just are. Especially in the cases where you have the ability to completely fucking ignore them.
What I will say was actually really weird now that I think about it, when you watch the Dave Rubin interview,
Mm-hmm.
We've heard, oh, this is just an anti-bullying campaign from the social justice side of things for a really long time. And usually what they mean by anti-bullying is we're going to dox people and ruin their lives.
Yep.
And now when I look back at it after watching your video, Dave Rubin doesn't even bat an eyelid at the fact that she's saying, oh, it was just an anti-bullying campaign. Like,
doesn't question her on it.
So was Gamergate.
He didn't even ask her what the site exactly did. Didn't press her on that at all. Just let her say it's just an anti-bullying site.
Which,
well,
again,
no,
sorry.
I say in the Kickstarter video, the point that she makes is we're going to link this to your employer. What is the reason for linking it to an employer? To get somebody fired. Fuck you, cunt. Sorry.
Yeah, and it was just so bizarre to watch Dave Rubin not, like you said, not even seem to think twice about the fact that she said anti-bullying. I mean, anti-bullying has been used to try to stifle free speech every way to Sunday recently. And it doesn't even make him go, well, wait a minute.
Well, if you watch this interview, at least I did not watch the entire interview. I watched up until I was slapping myself in the head so hard it hurt. This interview was crafted. Her answers were crafted for Dave Rubin. If you know the history of Dave Rubin, he used to be a very left guy. And when he just started questioning some of their stuff, some of the liberal stuff, his friends all turned on him. Very much the way we saw with Lacey Green, with feminists. This happens with a lot of people when they question the narrative of their side. And they just get ostracized entirely. And if you watch her answers and the way she feeds them to him, it is all designed to play on his experience. And you guys might think I'm reaching here or that's conspiracy. It's not. She is a journalism major, and she is whatever else you think about her, she is very smart, and she knows how to craft an argument. She's showing that she what's the word I'm looking for here? She's not real good under direct pressure. That's why we saw everybody or these people are getting paid to attack me tweet. Gee, fuck off. But if you watch how she talks to Dave Rubin, it really, really is a great exercise in manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It is just, it's fucking beautiful to watch if you're watching it as a sociology project, realizing that this is a real woman who's having a real impact on a lot of people. It's just like, holy fuck, that's cringy as shit.
Yeah. And when you look at that interview, knowing what you know, it's amazing how many red flags are right there in that interview, in what she's saying to him, that he just doesn't even pick up on.
No. Because she's playing to what he wants to believe. It's all confirmation bias.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of wakes me up a little bit, because when I first saw her videos, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But I never really looked into her, and I never really watched any of the interviews that she did. And I can't say that I would have necessarily picked up on it. I want to say that it was an anti-bullying site might have made me go, huh, what? What? And it did what exactly, an anti-bullying site? But I think now it's kind of made me be like, all right, well, maybe we need to be extra careful. And when something sounds wrong, press on it and follow up. Like, all right, what the fuck do you mean by anti-bullying? Because anti-bullying has meant a lot of things over the past couple of years. And because there are all sorts of red flags in that interview that he just doesn't even press at all, doesn't even ask for more information.
Real quick, a couple of people are saying that she's not smart, that being charming is not the same as being smart. Do not underestimate somebody like her. She was on Alex Jones yesterday, where I highlighted in my video, where she says, go out there, don't be afraid to speak your mind. Nobody can stop you. If you don't think that was a very smart move on her part, knowing she had already knew that this expose on her was out there, and suddenly she's out there and you're talking to Alex Jones about how important free speech is. You don't think that's fucking smart?
Well, I mean, if you don't think she's metaphorically sucking Alex Jones' dick, you're insane. Especially when you watch how she behaves with him. She's very charming to Alex Jones on purpose.
Yeah, she is very smart, and I would not be at all surprised to see her actually emerge from this more popular than she is now. Especially working with somebody like Alex Jones, this is going to come back as a look at how they're all trying to stop me. I must be onto something. Those aren't the real conservatives. Watch, mark my words.
Yeah,
Mark
for sure, especially with the Alex Jones crowd. I mean, and then amongst this whole scandal, not only is she playing Alex Jones like a fucking fiddle, he's like, we should have a show.
Yeah.
He's like, wow.
You should have a show on my network. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, 14 videos in, and she gets a whole fucking show. What do we get? Nothing. That's just fine.
Did you guys see Satsu's tweet on this morning?
I haven't seen it. Was it funny? It was probably really funny.
He says, I'm gonna go on a little pity party or something like that. I forget his exact words. But he said, it sucks to know that a liar's making more or is more popular than I am just for telling lies or something like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're not wrong.
What else is new? What else is new? Seriously.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to be super petty for a second here. It's annoying that a phony shows up and gets hella backing and support, but I can't break 6,000 subs. I do what I do because I love it, but it's a blow to the gut to know that she somehow became large and she wasn't honest. And yeah, I agree with him on that, and it's a lot of it's luck. Her stuff just happened to go viral, and she happened to be a pretty black woman, which I don't think is the only reason why it went viral. But I think it helps to be a unicorn.
Again, I don't think that her going viral was accidental. I think she plays very well. That's not to say that somebody out there, pulled string or that, YouTube was helping her out or anything. I think she knows very much how to sell herself, and she's done it very, very well.
Yeah, well, she probably knows exactly how to time things.
Yeah.
Because, in order to get a video, even a video that's good and that your audience will like might not get as many views because of the day you put it out, what's going on the day you put it out. I mean, timing's kind of everything when it comes to the popularity of a video, I think, as we all know.
Well, she also got a shout out from Breitbart way back in April of last year over the whole Zoe Quinn thing, because that was out at the time too. So it's not like she didn't have contacts she could have reached out to help her along a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I want to say here before we end this and get to question time, and I am sorry that this took up the whole deep topic time. If anybody had a subject, we'll have to save it for tomorrow. But I've seen a lot of people saying we need to keep an eye out for this website coming back under some other form. I don't think it will. I mean, somebody else might try it, but I don't think she'll do it because she doesn't have to now. In her Dave Rubin video, she talks about how she was a journalism major, but when she came out of college, she had a lot of debt, and the only thing that made sense for her was to go work at a brokerage house or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
For a journalism student, that doesn't make the biggest sense to me. This girl is out to make money, and I don't have a problem with that. But she no longer needs that website to do it. She doesn't need her degree 180 company. All she needs to do is sit back and collect now, because she's got a pretty good thing going, unless it all comes crashing down. So with that, unless anybody else has something to say on it, chat, it is your turn. Questions, comments, complaints. Think I'm an asshole? Now's the time to say so. I won't acknowledge those posts, but you can say it. Let's see. Numbskull said, I found the brokerage house she worked in. Please keep that information to yourself. Even though her name is out there, I don't want to me, that's still a form of dox. Don't go looking up people's past. I don't. I mean, if it's something she's put out there, I guess it's not as. I don't know. To me, that just sounds like something that her website would have done. Thank you, Snowstorm. Okay, you're an asshole. Several people have said that. Chaos Eve, thank you. And Terry Diamandis says, I'm an asshole, but that's why he likes me. And I appreciate all of those. I'm okay with being an asshole. Any word on the Bergdahl sentencing? Oh, was he sentenced? I didn't see anything.
I thought that got delayed, but maybe that changed. Let me check. Let's see. Well, the sentencing is still going on, so far as I know. It's like, let's see, pleading guilty. I'll look and see if there's anything new, but I don't think it's actually been ruled on yet.
The Jack Cochran asked, do you think Alex Jones screams, we're breaking the conditioning when he climaxes? God, I hope so. Xena says, Ranting Monkey, you're an asshole. You're more like a pee hole to me. That's not nice. I'm going to cry now. It's a good thing I don't have feelings or that would upset them. Steve Smith says, do you know why bullying is good? There were no SJWs 30 years ago. Yes and no. What has become known as bullying is not as horrible as they make it seem. Real bullying, the stuff that was around when like I grew up, or people actually being tormented to no end, is not good. People just being told they're an asshole once in a while. Yeah, a lot of them really need to learn that. Which is superior, Basketball Jones or Alex Jones? I actually like Alex Jones. I don't take him seriously, but I think he's a pretty good showman.
Indiana Jones superior.
Yes, by all accounts. Train Spotting Vagabond wants to know, do you think Red Pill Black actually believes what she says? No, I don't. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't know. I do think that what she says is very polished and on purpose. Whether or not she actually believes anything she's ever said publicly, I can't say. I have no reason to believe any of it's sincere, though. Oh, Ben Master wants to know if you have big nipples, Scribe.
Define big.
That's a yes.
I don't think I have anything larger than a normal person. Let's put it that way. Of course, I haven't gone around comparing my nipples to other guys' nipples, so. Yeah.
Are they bigger than a quarter?
No.
Okay,
Definitely
so he
not.
doesn't have big nipples, Joe.
No.
Jacob Jet says, so when exactly did Candace say she was fine with doxing kids? Go watch Tree of Logic's video. It's linked in mine. Yeah, Candace does a Q&A, and I believe it's the first question that's shown there. Somebody asks, what about kids? And her answer, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm sorry I don't have the exact verbiage, is that they understand it's going to happen, and they think it's a good thing because it'll teach kids not to be douches later in life. That's I am paraphrasing, but that is the spirit of what she says. Backscan says, I think we need to make an internet constitution with free speech, right to access, and anonymity being at the top of the list. What would be in your internet constitution? Ooh. Free speech would definitely be up there. So would anonymity, except in the cases of specific violent threats or child pornography. I think those things should get you immediately slapped the fuck down. You guys, anything you would throw in your internet constitution? Hello?
Huh?
Is there
Hello?
anything you would want to see in an internet constitution?
What do you mean by an internet constitution?
Like how we have one for the country, one that would be just for the internet that protects like free speech.
Something that protects free speech, first and foremost.
Okay. That makes the internet a public utility.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that first and foremost that needs to be done. I hope that's done sometime in my lifetime, because honestly, the idea that you're going to privatize what is effectively now the backbone of communication for the world, that is used by everybody and everything at every moment of the day, shouldn't be a private concern anymore. I mean, it's moved that quickly that no, I don't think it should be.
Well, it's interesting, I think, because, there's that, and there's also the fact that there's weird tax stuff because there's no sales tax when you purchase something online. The laws are different in different countries, especially surrounding free speech. So it's like, how do you even enforce that on the internet? It's not bound by country lines or anything like that. So I think it'll be interesting in the next 20 years or so to see how all of that develops.
Crazy Man wants to know, since the holidays are coming, what is your holiday dish? Savory or sweet? Depends on the holiday.
We're Italian, so we usually do like a 7 fish thing on Christmas Eve. And I hate seafood with a fucking passion unless it's baked clams. So I normally just eat clams and pasta that night, and it's like the best night of the year.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on stream before, but my children are not the biggest fans of like Thanksgiving food. So we made a deal with them when they were very young. At Thanksgiving, we have a traditional Thanksgiving meal, and then they got to pick what our Christmas dinner would be, and unanimously they picked tacos. So we have tacos on
That's really cute.
Christmas.
Yeah, I'm a real stickler about Thanksgiving food too. I freaking hate it. Like, the only Thanksgiving food I will eat is cranberry sauce, but only if it comes out of a can.
Got a super chat.
Thank you, Sanguine. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Cryptic. I was looking at the icon in there. You've changed. You look like him now. Did that change?
Yes, it did. It confused me too. I was like, thank you, Crypt. Why does Cryptic look weird?
Damn you, Cryptic. Okay, thank you. We'd have to take back the regulatory power Obama gave away to the UN during the last year of his shitty presidency. Yeah. Not going to happen, though.
But yeah, the only thing that I'll eat. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I'll eat at Thanksgiving is like cranberry sauce and sweet potatoes with marshmallows, and like that's it. So it's a fun night.
Gerald asks if I could tackle SJWs in gaming, please. If you mean in a video, if I came across the right source, excuse me. I've almost done it before. We covered a story last time Satsu was on, or the time before that when Satsu was on, about how games being hard is wrong. And we also talked about how is it the new Assassin's Creed game that's coming out with a basic viewer mode where you don't actually play, you can just wander around. I hate those concepts. I really do. I hate what I've seen happen with SJWs in gaming. The latest all of this stuff about Cuphead has really been a driving force in the latest gaming arguments because it's just too hard for people. And for some reason, people just aren't allowed to be bad at video games anymore. I don't really understand. It's, to me, the same mentality of everybody gets a trophy, and I don't think that's a good thing for society. If I come across the right catalyst, I will definitely cover it in video form. Otherwise, yeah, we do talk about it from time to time in stream. Excuse me. Steve Smith says, so Monkey, I have a question for you. Where do you think SJWs come from? What is the cause? Do you reckon you can answer? Yeah, vaginas. Do you reckon you can answer this broad question? Yeah. Some of you might not like my answer, at least the start of it. SJWs come from a very good place. And I know that might seem fucked up to say, but it's true. If you look at what they stand for, what they're trying to do, I think the way they handle is absolutely fucked up. But what they're trying to do is make a kinder, nicer world. And in theory, that's not a bad thing. The problem is that in Western cultures, life is so good that people don't really understand what strife is anymore. So that's why we see stuff about, I mean, I hate using this example as often as I do, but mansplaining, for fuck's sake. Manspreading, air conditioning, being oppressive. These are people who, at their core, they're decent people. They want to do good. They want to make sure that the world is nice for everybody. They're just dumb in how they do it, and that grows from the fact that we have a very sheltered culture.
Well, it's also the problem of believing that the world can or should be nice.
Mm-hmm.
It
well.
can't.
Good point. Yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah, utopian ideals have always failed. Okay, there is no utopia because one man's utopia is another man's prison. And as long as you do not understand that and you keep striving for a utopia based on what you think should be done and you think should be correct, it's always going to end up becoming a disaster. That's all there is to it. You have to find that. That's why we have a common set of sort of do unto others sorts of laws. It's like, well, I wouldn't want to be robbed. I wouldn't want to be murdered. I wouldn't want somebody telling me what I can or cannot say. I mean, this is why we have such a great Constitution, is that the first 10 amendments, for the most part, cover things that just are part of common human decency and freedom, insofar as human beings are capable of it. Trying to get any more nitty-gritty on what you can say or what is offensive or anything else might seem like you're protecting someone, but all you're doing is stifling yourself ultimately.
And Faith brought up a really good point here, and I should have mentioned it's actually one of my favorite sayings. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Mm-hmm. And what you don't, for anybody who does not understand what that means, is just because you think something is right and you're trying to do right doesn't mean you're not going to make things worse. The example's been brought up so many times when we talk about hate speech and limiting speech. Well, what happens when laws limiting speech are turned to less innocuous things? The problem with that kind of thinking that speech should be limited based on how people feel and people being offended is another concept we've discussed many times. You can literally be offended by anything, and nobody can prove you're not actually offended. So yeah, I don't mean to go on about that so long. Do you think there are red-pilled people in the ghetto? I think I'm with Jeff Holiday on this. I'm getting real sick of red pill.
Yeah, like that means something.
Yeah.
I mean, red pill is the same thing as saying woke, just from a different side of things. And it's so stupid. It's like, are you enlightened? If you're not enlightened, then you're on the other side of the argument. Like, no, just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. I get the metaphor and why it was used, but it's been way overused. And get woke. You might as well get woke. Let's see. Do we have more questions here? I'm sorry. I know I missed some guys. I got way too talkative there for a minute. Y'all ever forget the rat utopia study? Yes, I did. Well, I don't remember if I actually read the study. I saw the video that was done on it where they categorized what happened there. Have you guys seen that?
Can't say I have.
No, I haven't either.
They built this giant rat house. It was supposed to be a rat utopia, and eventually they all died. For a long time, within the life of a rat, a long time, it prospered and it grew, and eventually it just died out. Least favorite horror franchise. Oh, wow.
How much time do you have?
Yeah, there's so many that were crap. Of the popular ones, I would probably have to go with Hellraiser.
Yeah, I'll say as a franchise, not my thing. as someone who binge watched all of them in a day, first of all, don't fucking do that ever. It's a terrible idea. The first one's interesting, I guess. It's not that great. In my opinion, I know a lot of people like it, but they just go downhill and downhill quickly from there.
Scribe, do you have an answer for that before I move on to this next question?
Sorry, guys. I got distracted by work stuff again. Can you
Oh, no,
repeat the
you're
question?
fine.
What was the question?
Least favorite horror franchise?
Least favorite horror franchise? Twilight.
Okay.
That's not a horror franchise.
It's horrible. It is horrible. That's enough for me.
I want to get your take on my opinion on this one. Geralt says, have you seen some of the legit disgusting things that SJWs do? Yes, I have. I've seen some really horrible things that they've done, doxing people, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked yesterday, I believe it was, about the ability for anybody to become both saint or demon. Just because you think you're a moral person doesn't mean there's not going to be things that question or make you act against your own stated morality. Makes you a hypocrite. And to the extreme at times. While yes, I've seen disgusting things that SJWs do, even in those cases, I believe they think they're acting in the best interest of society at large. Say
they
when
do,
they dox,
I think.
Yeah. When they dox somebody, it's horrible what they did to that person. But in their mind, what they're doing is stopping that person from being even worse. I disagree with them.
From being like evil and from hurting anybody else, basically, is what they're thinking. I think that's what they're thinking too when they say you can punch Nazis because it's self-defense. Because in their head, you know, somebody like us, we are Nazis, capable of killing people.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they think. They think that we are capable and would support genocide. They think we're capable of that.
I think there's two flavors to the social justice mindset. Either you got, we're talking about the one where it's someone legitimately wants to help the world and gets caught up in this zealotry of being quote unquote good. And then you have people who, and we've seen, you know, multiple iterations of this, and not just in social justice, but just in life in general, where someone's going to profess the virtuous thing as a form of either penance or obfuscation of their own violation of those same principles. So, you know, the family values politician who's off on the side snorting cocaine and fucking prostitutes, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know, the virtue signaling is also sort of like a virtue cloak. Like, you can't question me because I say the right things. Now, don't mind me while I go over here and be a complete hypocrite. You know, whether or not they're doing something that's either immoral or illegal is beside the point, but just going against their own rhetoric because, you know, why not try to stay in with the in crowd kind of thing. Yeah, I have seen the results of people being so. In my own personal life, I've seen people practice, let's say, social justice ideology on groups of people that I know and care about, and it is the most acidic and destructive thing you can do. And I've seen just how quickly one person can take a nonsense issue and turn it into such a wedge that entire friendships, relationships, and social communities are just utterly destroyed. And it's absolutely, not only is it disgusting to me on sort of just a moral level, but it's also fascinating to me how easy it is to do.
Geralt corrected me there. He said he was talking more literal, like period blood art pieces.
Oh,
well, even in that sense, they think they are making a good statement here. It's disgusting. It's absolutely fucking gross.
They can do it. It doesn't mean anything. It's just ridiculous.
But again, they think if you listen to what they say, they're doing this to promote women, to stop patriarchy, or to protest women being treated badly. Those are all noble things in theory. Doesn't mean they're not being fucking gross.
Or just stupid. Like, I mean, it's right up there with like, we can't call them French fries anymore because the French were so, we have to call them freedom fries because the French won't get on board with our anti-terrorism stuff. Yeah, it's just, it's posturing. It might be really dramatic and or gross posturing, but it's just posturing. It's virtue signaling. It's look how much more enlightened and high and mighty than I am from you, etc. You know, it's harmless in the sense that it's not doing me any harm by somebody painting with their period blood, but it's not making your argument any stronger. Let's put it that way.
Captain Brambles, that is so well put. And SJW will break your leg just so they can help you.
Yeah.
Yes. Well done.
I mean, how do you? I mean, isn't that exactly the same kind of mentality we've seen in some cases, not all cases, not all, of these reports of either racist activity or harassment or anything else that turn out to be absolute hoaxes, absolute self-inflicted wounds for the sake of proving that there's a problem that we then must rise up against.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Skeptox says that's an old joke about liberals. Maybe it is, but it's hella true for SJWs. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Why in the hell do people like the Sharknado movies? Sometimes cheesy movies can be fun. I haven't seen the Sharknado ones, but I like some cheesy movies.
Why do people pay to see Transformers movies? Why are those successful movies? I'll never understand while those things are making tons and tons of money, movies that are actually good end up going by the wayside. It just boggles the mind.
Jerica says Assassin's Creed's tourist mode does not let you beat the game, and it is a DLC. It is still a way to get through the game, whether you actually play it, and see everything.
Tourist mode.
Yeah.
Just call you a tourist now. You can actually, that's great. I love it.
Oh, thank you, Kaga Mendoa. Forgot to send this earlier. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. When it comes to video games, I really do hate this idea of being able to see everything. World of Warcraft.
Earn it.
Yeah, World of Warcraft did it with their dungeon finder. I forgot, raid finder. They dumbed down raids so much that they're actually pretty useless. I mean, you don't even have to pay attention to mechanics. You have to get into a spectacularly bad group to fail. And their reason for doing so was that in the first several iterations of the game, in vanilla, then BC, and then Wrath of the Lich King, the vast majority of players never saw end game content. And I can understand the developers wishing more people got to see the end, but to dumb it down to the point where you might as well not even be playing tells me you might as well not even be playing. Go watch a fucking movie. Games are supposed to be a test of skill, or Assassin's Creed having that mode doesn't hurt me at all, but it is. It's a trophy for everybody, and you're getting to the end, getting to see all of the areas of the game without actually having to earn it, and yeah, I have a problem with that.
You know what I equate it to? There was one time where, a long time ago, I went to Las Vegas with my family, and they had a big arcade there, and there in the corner of the place was the Punisher arcade game. And as I walked up, somebody had already just put in their quarters and started playing. And I stood there and I watched them play through the entire game. They paid all the money, and I just watched and watched them go through everything. I saw all the bosses, saw all the shooting, saw the explosions, saw the plot line such as it was. I could tell anybody from that point onward exactly what happens, who the boss is, etc. I could lie and say that I was the one that did it or something else. That's how I see games where you can do a tourist mode or use cheat codes to see everything or whatever else. You didn't earn it. You're a spectator. You're effectively just a spectator. You're not actually competing. You're not actually putting yourself up against the challenge of the game. Why buy the game? Just watch a playthrough on YouTube. Don't pay money. Just watch it on YouTube. I mean, there's no point at that point.
I think there should be a Steam achievement for running through the whole game without actually playing it that says I'm a giant pussy. There are a lot of games I never finished, just because the difficulty gets too hard for me, and that's where I'm done. And if I do want to know what happens next, I'll look it up. And we couldn't even do that back in the NES days. Fuck, there were a lot of games I never saw the end of.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason
I didn't see some games I didn't see the end of till I saw them on YouTube. Like, God, I never could beat Ninja Gaiden or Gaiden.
That game sucked.
Oh well, it didn't suck. It was just difficult as fuck. Some of those places, so like hard. The bird, that one bird at that one part when you're climbing on the mountain level. God damn that bird. But anyway, and so I mean, I would cheat in that because I thought, well, when I was a kid, I tried beating this game 20 times and I never could do it. So, I admit the game beat me. I'm not going to lie and say somehow I beat it when I didn't, because that meant something back then. When you could beat Contra nonstop without losing a life, that meant something. When you could beat Ninja Gaiden without like dying or using any continues or anything, that meant something. These days, I'll put in a cheat code, or watch a playthrough and then just, talk about it, whatever.
Robert Lang wants to know if anybody knows where you can find Vanilla WoW. I don't know if they have any servers up or not. I hope they never put them up. Contra was empty. I love Contra. Contra was great.
Yeah, Contra's still good. There's some games, as I always said, it's like you can make the graphics do whatever, add whatever bells and whistles, but nothing beats solid gameplay regardless. Like Contra, the original Legend of Zelda, those are still good games to play and fun because the gameplay was so solid. Of course, gameplay now is apparently an offensive term, according to people, because, game reviewers can't actually beat tutorials.
No shit. Ta says, I play LFR modes because my guild is dead and I work rotating shift. Raiding guilds don't like that. And I understand that I do. My problem isn't with LFR. My problem was with how easy LFR is. There should still be some consequence to standing in shit.
Smelling like poopy. Oh.
Whatever happened to good gameplay? Asked Steve Smith. One of the
graphics over gameplay.
Exactly. In Crisis and Modern Warfare came out. They came out the same year. Crisis had been so built up in all of the gaming literature, gaming magazines and on gaming sites. Crisis was supposed to be this epic fucking game because visually it is stunning. At its max settings, it is as close. It is still probably the standard for photorealism. But the gameplay was junk. It was not that fun. Yeah. Meanwhile, Modern Warfare wasn't a horrible looking game. It still holds up pretty well. And it was just so much more fun. It was more the action. They had a problem with some of their checkpoints where you had to get past a certain spot or the enemies wouldn't stop spawning. But otherwise, it was just a much more fun game to play, and it showed in the sales.
I think the death of gameplay versus anything else happened a lot earlier than that. I think gameplay became a sacrificial lamb as soon as there started to be the console wars between how many bits of graphics you had. Like 16-bit graphics was the big thing advertised, and then graphics were the big thing, like the look of the game, etc. I mean, back when the Nintendo was just an 8-bit thing, if the game didn't play well, the graphics didn't mean shit. Because you only had 8 bits to work with and very limited scope of things. So, I mean, you could have a really good-looking game, I guess, but if the gameplay wasn't solid, and then when style became more valuable than the substance of the game itself, like, oh, the new Mega Man's out and it's got 16-bit graphics. Is it any good? Oh, but it looks good. that sort of tendency started when Sega and Nintendo were fighting against each other. I think that's what it did. That's where it started.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. If you look at the game Donkey Kong Country, the reason that game was so amazing, and not just because it was fun to play and was pretty, is that it actually extended the life of the gaming system it came out for. I forget which one that was for.
I think that was N64.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember exactly.
Or Super Nintendo. Maybe it was Super Nintendo. Anyway.
It literally pushed. Nintendo was able to push out their next generation game a year past when they were expecting it, and a year past when
right.
the other consoles that came out, just because they made not just a pretty game, but it was fun to fucking play.
Well, yeah.
But we are at the top of the hour. I hate to cut that off here because I'm enjoying the video game discussion. But I just looked down and it's 11 o'clock. So with that, guys, chat, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for your questions tonight. You guys are awesome. I cannot thank you enough for supporting us like you do every night. Scribe, SDA, a pleasure as always. Guys, your life makes me sad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.